Hall of Fame, Class of 2004.
I am Peter Vidmar. I have the privilege of serving as your MC tonight. It's a pleasure for me to be here for the 5th year, actually, to recognize individuals who've had a positive impact on our sport in the past, as well as those who contribute to the sport in the present. This is a very special moment for me because it provides me a very unique opportunity to personally recognize people who have reached the pinnacle of achievement in our sport. We had a little fun today. Earlier in the evening before the competition, we had a little brief 20-year reunion. You have those in high school, I know, but when you have it in the gymnastics team, it's a little bit more difficult because you want to see if everybody's still in shape, and we all were. But I noticed one thing that never has changed with the guys on the team is that as we were introduced today, I don't know if you noticed this, you know, one by one they heard our names, you know, Scott and Bart and Mitch and Tim and Jim and I and everybody. Well, so they're introducing us, and you know what? You notice when they introduced Mitch, the octave was a little bit higher for the cheers. And I looked at Tim Dag and I said, dang, man, 20 years later, and the chicks still dig him over everybody else. And you know, and Tim goes, dang that guy. It happens all the time. And it reminded me of the post-Olympic tour. After our success in '84, we traveled throughout the country to about 40 different cities giving performances. And what was neat about it was that we had this brief 15 minutes of fame where we kind of felt like rock and roll stars because we had huge crowds at the event. And we would do our little exhibition, and then we'd have a halftime, and half the audience, which was teenage girls, would flock down to the rows to ask for autographs and all that. It was kind of fun. And so there was always screaming for Bart and screaming for Mitch and just an occasional Pete. And then one moment I was warming up on the parallel bars, and a group of young girls were calling my name. And I thought I heard wrong. I did my little parallel bar dismount, turned around, they're saying, Peter, Peter. I thought, cool, all right. I turn around and they said, come here, come here, come here. So I start walking towards them, and they grab each other. He's coming, he's coming. And they had this big, beautiful bouquet of flowers, and I thought, all right, cool. I get a little closer. Finally, I get within earshot, and they shout over to me, give these to Mitch. And I said, what? Give him to Mitch. He's over by High Bar. He can't even hear us. We love him. All right. So I walk into the little warm-up room, and I threw him at him. He didn't know what that was for. But, and so then time moves on, and then you think you're for yourself with your kids, right? So I have 5 of them, and one of them becomes a gymnast. We're in the middle of a competition. My son wins the gold medal on the pommel horse, and I wasn't there. It was pretty cool, yeah. And I wasn't there. I was trying to get back to the event. He goes into the air with the rest of my children and my wife, and an older gentleman looks at my son with the medal around his neck, a little warm-up suit, a little gym bag, and says, what you got there, sonny? And he says, oh, it's a gold medal. For what? For gymnastics. Wow. Tell you what, you keep working really, really hard. I bet someday you're going to grow up to be just like Bart Connor. And my son said nothing. He just went, great. Anyways, so, but we're not here to talk about the past. I think what we need to do now is look to the future, and I think more than anything, let's give a big hand to the tremendous performances today of the men's gymnasts. It's a young generation of talented men and women that we'll see tomorrow, to whom we must pledge our support for their emergence on the podium coming up in just a couple months. These are the leaders that will represent the United States this August in Athens at the Summer Olympic Games. These individuals in 2004 will serve as the faces of the nation for the sport of gymnastics, and we wish them all the best in the coming months. Now, it's exciting for me to present this year's class of inductees to the USA Gymnastics Hall of Fame. You have a varied group of individuals that represent the sport well and in many different capacities. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce Kathy Feldman, the Vice President of Member Services, to recognize a few people significant to this year's receptions. Kathy, oh, here you are.
Thank you, Peter. I want to first extend my thanks to Mr. Vidmar for being so kind and being our Master of Ceremonies over these many years. Done a terrific job. Thank you. I just need a few minutes to thank a few special people, and that is our sponsors. We have at the gold level Sports Graphic, who have been with us the entire time, and they help us with all of the printing of the programs and doing the pictures and all of the graphics, and we truly, truly appreciate Sport Graphics, Frank Hancock from Indiana, helping us as the gold sponsor. At the silver level, we have all of the programs participating, and we are so very happy for their presence, to have the men's program, the women's program, rhythmic, trampoline and tumbling, and sports acro. Thank you so much for your support, and we're so glad that all of us as a family can be together. Thank you at the bronze level to USA Gymnastics Women's Program Region 6 and to Region 8 for their contribution. And Spieth Anderson, Rhonda Orbeck, and all of the folks there, thank you so much for your patron donation. And at the donation level, a very good friend of USA Gymnastics and is a great supporter, Septima Green. So I do want to thank those people for their tremendous support. I also would like to recognize and thank our very important Hall of Fame committee, and I would love for them to stand up and remain standing as I go through the names. Chair is Carolyn Bowers. Carolyn couldn't be with us, but she does send her best regards. Dick Aronson, Jay Ashmore, Linda Chinzinski, A.B. Grossfeld, Barbara Tonry, and Fred Turoff. Thank you so much to our Hall of Fame committee. I want to thank all of you for your support. We continue to grow, and I hope this becomes even a finer and bigger and a very exciting event. I'm so pleased and honored to be here among all of you. Being a gymnastics person so long, this is just very exciting, and I want to thank all of you for your attendance. And you're all invited to remain for the Congress Dance Party, which is taking place in this ballroom, and we will open and extend the other ballroom. We have the dance floor ready, and we will have some good music for one and all, and a lot more goodies of food and desserts. So please, I do hope that you enjoy the entire evening with us. Thank you again, and congratulations to all of this year's class of 2004.
Thank you, Kathy. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Bob Colarossi, President of USA Gymnastics, for some special recognition. Bob?
Thanks, Peter, and good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight on this very special occasion. Congratulations to all of this year's inductees and on the work of the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. I do want to take just a couple of moments just to reflect on a time that in many ways fueled the birth of the explosion of the sport that we all love so much. In the summer of 1984, in Los Angeles at the Olympic Games, we all got to be part of something very special, something that brought us together as a nation, something that brought us together as a gymnastics family, and something that really propelled our sport to where it is today. I mentioned earlier today to a different group that there's more than 4,600 gymnastics schools in the United States today, and more than 100,000 registered members at USA Gymnastics. And a lot of that growth and a lot of that opportunity was fueled off of the backs of the work that the two teams, our men's and women's teams from 1984, did it in Los Angeles. And so I'd like to recognize the two teams, and what I'm going to do is introduce the women's team first and then the men's team, and I'd like to ask you all to remain standing. 84 took us to a different place. 84 put gymnastics back on the map in a way in the United States that we've continued to grow and take to the next level as much as possible. I think you've seen the sport become very professionalized. I think you've seen the focus be not just on developing elite athletes at the Olympic level, but also on exposing as many young athletes as possible to physical fitness and a healthy lifestyle. And I believe that we owe the lion's share of that to the teams from '84. So starting with the silver medal women's team. I left my glasses over in the selection meeting, so if I take a little time. I'd first like to introduce Pam Bilek-Fiat. Pam? She's not present this evening. She had a baby about a week ago. Thanks, Peter. Michelle Ducer-Farrell. Michelle? Kathy Johnson-Clark. Julianne McNamara, I know, couldn't be with us. She wanted to be. Mary Lou Retton. Marie Roethlisberger. Marie Roethlisberger. Tracy Talavera. Lucy Weiner Fox. Don Peters. And Ro Kreutzer. Is Ro with us? Ro is over at the venue, I think. She's doing workout. There you go. Part of the selection committee. She has to watch everything. Congratulations to the ladies team, and one of the most amazing accomplishments, and in my opinion, the most amazing accomplishment in the sport of women's gymnastics up to that point in time. You guys were just unbelievable. Yeah, what a great accomplishment. We're so proud of what you guys were able to do in LA, and I know that at some point in time, the Hall of Fame committee will be recognizing that appropriately. I'd like to move on to the men's team. Mr. Bart Connor. Tim Daggett. Is Timmy here? Or is he still doing NBC? He might still be editing for NBC. Mitch Gaylord. Jim Hartung. Still judging. Bart Connor. Bart Connor. Dan Hayden. Scott Johnson. Brian Meeker. Is Brian here? Jim Mikas, who's not able to attend. Mr. Peter Vidmar. A.B. Grossfeld. And Mako Sakamoto. I'd like to congratulate all of you on your accomplishments back in '84, but almost more so on being the goodwill ambassadors that you all have been for the sport of gymnastics. You truly have been role models and set the example and paved the way for all the athletes that will follow, and for that, we thank you very much. I'm going to turn it back over to Peter. Everyone else, enjoy the evening tonight. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Before we recognize our first recipient, I'd like to introduce the chairman of the board of USA Gymnastics, who's been traveling the world in behalf of our sport in this, and throughout the country, Mr. Ron Froelich. Ron, please. Today's first Hall of Fame recipient, in my opinion, has one of the most wonderful smiles in the sport of gymnastics. Sue Ammerman is being recognized as a contributor to the sport. Sue has been a women's brevet judge for the past 21 years. Of her 37 years of judging, has contributed to the sport in many other different ways, and if we could just draw your attention to our video. There she is.
Sue Ammerman. Sue is being honored as a contributor to the sport of gymnastics for more than 37 years, having served as a highly respected brevet judge for 21 of them. In 1996, Sue was the women's technical director for the Atlanta Olympic Games and has served for 12 years as the technical delegate to the Women's FIG Technical Assemblies. Sue has generously contributed her time and efforts to gymnastics at every level, including serving as president of the North Jersey Board of Officials, president of the New Jersey Gymnastics Association, United States Gymnastics Federation Regional Co-Chairman, assistant director of the World Championships in Fort Worth, Texas, United States Gymnastics Federation liaison to rhythmic gymnastics and the Athletes' Council, head of delegation to the World Championships in Rotterdam, Holland, chairman of the Women's International Program Committee, committee member of the USA Gymnastics Board of Directors from 1973 to 1996, member of the Board of Directors Executive Committee from 1976 to 1996, and United States Gymnastics Federation delegate to the United States Olympic Committee from 1976 to 1988. Sue Ammerman.
Presenting the award to Sue is Miss Linda Chinchinski. Linda.
I am greatly honored to have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. I would like to thank the committee and let them know how much I appreciate and am so very, very much honored to be here and to be recognized. A very special thank you to my husband, who has been very supportive in all of my gymnastics endeavors. From being a gymnast, to instructor, to judge, to administrator, to vice president, to liaison, to technical director, to technical delegate. He has been there no matter whenever I needed him, he was there, and it's greatly appreciated. I regret that my parents are not able to be here, but I am sure they are here in spirit, and they have taught me that integrity and honesty is the most important thing in life, and that if you follow those guidelines, success will always follow. It has been my pleasure to work with some very outstanding people, and they have been my mentors and my guidance, and I wish to thank them, starting with Frank Baer, the executive director for when I came on the board, to Jay Ashmore, the World Championships, to Jacki Fye, who is the guidance, she is the goddess of gymnastics, to Mike Jacki, and to Linda Czynszynski. There are many other people that have influenced my life, and I wish to thank them all. But deeply, I have worked very hard, and it has been my pleasure to work for the athletes, the coaches, and the judges of gymnastics. This is a wonderful sport, and I am very proud to have been a small part of it. And I will continue to work in whatever capacity is necessary to help gymnastics. And again, my sincere appreciation for this honor. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sue. Our next recipient is a good friend, a great guy, good family man, and was a great gymnast. Mihai Baju began his gymnastics career in his native country, Romania, at the age of 5. Mihai went on to be a member of the United States 1996 Olympic team in Atlanta, and let's take a look at our video.
Mihai Baju was a member of the 1996 Olympic team, which placed 5th, the strongest finish for the men's team since 1984. He was a member of the 1995 gold medal Pan American team, winning silver in pommel horse. He competed for the first time in World Championships in 1994, representing the U.S. at both the team and all-around individual World Championships competitions. In his 3rd World Championships, he was a finalist in pommel horse, placing 5th. Biju began gymnastics in his native country, Romania, at the age of 5. In 1979, he emigrated with his family to the U.S. and became a citizen in 1989. He made his first national team while training at Scats Gymnastics in Huntington Beach, California. He relocated to Albuquerque, New Mexico in 1992 to train for the Atlanta Olympics with Coach Ed Birch at Gold Cup Gymnastics. Biju married Chris McNamara, a former Scats gymnast, in 1992. The couple and their 4 children, Gabriella, Mia, Jared, and Chloe, reside in Littleton, Colorado. Biju co-owns MB2 Appraisal Consultants, LLC, with his brother Mitch, and is certified as a personal fitness counselor with the Aerobics and Fitness Association of America. Mihai Biju.
Presenting the award to Mihai, A.B. Grossfeld.
Wow, what an honor. I don't have anything written down, so I'm kind of winging it here, but you know, as an athlete, you're really nothing without your coach, and everything we are as an athlete is what you learn from your coaches. And I brought a few of my longtime coaches and here with me. Back in 1979 when we immigrated, I started at North Orange County YMCA with Eric Will, and you know, he you know, he took great care of us. You know, I came in not speaking a word of English, and we didn't have much money, but you know, he did whatever he could for us, and he really took good care of us. You know, and then I moved on to Scats Gymnastics, which you know, Don Peters and Ron Howard, they again did everything they could for me. You know, and Ron moved on to Gold Cup after that. Well, I decided to follow Ron and ended up working with Ron and Ed Birch at Gold Cup. And there, I think I learned the most with my competition, how to compete and how to you know, be stronger mentally and physically also, of course, because Birch taught me a lot about gymnastics. So I'd really like to thank Birch. Go ahead and stand up, Birch. One of the great coaches of gymnastics. And again, I'd like to thank you know, the committee for honoring this on me, and also my wife, of course, Chris, standing behind me with you while I was traveling and training, and of course the kids. But we only had one. We only had Gabby when I was training, so it was a little easier than 4. But again, thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mihai. Our next Hall of Fame recipient, Michelle Berube-Schneider, began her career in artistic gymnastics and shifted her interest to rhythmic gymnastics at the age of 12. Michelle was a 2-time Olympian and 2-time World Championship team member. Let's take a look at the video.
Michelle Berube. Michelle began her gymnastics career at the age of 9, beginning with artistic and shifting to rhythmic gymnastics at 12. Michelle was a 2-time Olympian, 1984 and 1988, and 2-time World Championships team member in 1981 and 1983. She earned a spot on the USA national team 7 times, including 1 year as national champion and 2-time Athlete of the Year for rhythmic gymnastics. Michelle placed 14th at the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles and 22nd in 1988 in Seoul, Korea. Following her gymnastics career, Michelle moved to Los Angeles and began working in the entertainment field. Some of her accomplishments include the American Music Awards, Michael Jackson's Dangerous World Tour, the 1995 Oscars, and an appearance in Quentin Tarantino's film From Dusk Till Dawn. Currently, Michelle resides with her husband Joseph Schneider in West Hills, California. Michelle and Joseph have 2 children, daughter Madison, age 3, and son Joseph, age 1. Michelle Berube.
Presenting the award to Michelle, Mr. Jay Ashmore.
Okay, I didn't prepare anything either, but I just wanted to say thank you. This is such an honor, so unexpected. After 20 years being a mom and a wife and having a career and being done with a career, to be brought into my attention again that this was once my life. And I was very proud, and I'm still very proud to be a gymnast, and to have represented the United States was pretty great for me. So I just wanted to say thank you, and it was a wonderful journey. That's it.
Congratulations. Our next recipient, Dan Hayden, competed in the sport of gymnastics for almost 20 years and has won numerous international and national titles and has been a good friend for many years. I've saw him grow up from he and his brother, Dennis, I couldn't tell them apart because they're twins, and they always show up at these events and they're always stronger than all of us. I hated that. But it's because they work so hard. But let's take a look at the video.
Dan Hayden. Daniel Hayden competed in gymnastics for almost 20 years. He won national championship titles in both NCAA and USA competition, winning the all-around and gold medals in still rings, high bar, and parallel bars at the 1988 McDonald's USA Championships. He competed in the 1987 World Championships and earned a spot on the 1985 World Team. In the 1986 NCAA Championships, Dan won gold on high bar, silver on pommel horse, bronze all-around, and contributed to the team gold. His 1985 NCAA Championships medals include gold for parallel bars and high bar, and silver for floor and the all-around. Dan was on the Junior Olympic team for 6 years and represented the U.S. team at international competition for over 4 years. He was an Olympic alternate in 1988. Together with his twin Dennis, he traveled to over 10 countries representing the U.S. at various international meets. In 1994, the family founded Hayden's International Gymnastics Academy. Dan and his wife Barbara currently reside in Evans, Georgia. Dan Hayden.
Presenting the award to Dan, Fred Turoff.
I did prepare a speech. You're welcome. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Not bad so far, huh? We've got a little bit of a problem. On the poster, it's Dennis. And he's also on my favorite event. Just kidding. Gotcha. First, I would like to thank the selection committee for selecting me to be inducted into the U.S. Gymnastics Hall of Fame. It's a great honor. Thank you. I contemplated what to say today, but when I walked into the room at Schmidt's Grill last night and looked at all the wonderful pictures and all the great gymnasts, coaches, and judges walking around in that room, I knew I needed to talk about my journey and everyone that helped me along the way. I must start by thanking my mother and father and family for their support and love and faith through the years and for getting me started in this great sport. Just like in the beginning of life, a spark of light is present. So it was with my first coach, Bob Bryan, who had ignited the spark in my heart to love the sport of gymnastics. And I would like to thank him at this time. And with that, I'd like to tell you a funny story. When I started learning, working on the Kovacs, it was with Bob Bryan. And on a Monday morning, over the weekend, we had watched World Championships, and we saw one of the guys at the World Championships do this double over. And we looked at each other and we said, yeah, we got to do it. So we started working on it, and worked on the taps and went through the progressions, and I was ready to flip the double over. We weren't catching it yet, but we didn't know what to expect. I was young, he was young, and so we didn't know what to expect. So we looked around, and my coach drove a motorcycle, and there was a half of a helmet, motorcycle helmet, over sitting in the corner. So I put on the belt, put on the ropes, and we said, let's put on this motorcycle helmet. So for the first 3 or 4 times doing this Kovacs in the belt, we put on a half a motorcycle helmet. True story. But we had a great time growing up and doing the sport of gymnastics. I was also blessed with my second coach, who took me under his wing and took me into his home. I moved away from home at age 14 to train to be the best that I could be and be trained with the infamous, most enthusiastic, great coach, Yuichi Tomita. Yuichi taught this country-style gymnast the meaning of perfection. He cultivated me in my gymnastics by teaching me what the hard work and discipline was all about. In my career as a gymnast and coach, I have learned that all great coaches have a balance between 4 essential ingredients to the healthy growth process: truth, grace, time, and love. Yuichi molded me and my gymnastics in this way, and under his coaching, I was able to get 3 junior national championships, 2 world championships, an alternate on the 84 team, and national champion 88. I would like to thank him from the bottom of my heart. Yuichi, could you stand up, please? Thank you. I would like to thank Scott Barkley and Don Robinson for teaching me to approach everything with faith and enthusiasm, and giving me the most memorable and most exciting victory of my career by winning the 1986 NCAA Collegiate Gymnastics Championships representing Arizona State University. Thank you. Finally, I would like to thank Ed Isabel for stepping up to help me finish my journey and help me win the national championships in 1988. I would also like to thank the 1984 team members and coaches for being so gracious to me through the years and through that time that we were working together in Los Angeles. I want to thank you for that wonderful time. I am thankful to everyone for all their help, and I am thankful for my victories as well as my defeats. And through my defeats in 1988, I have learned that 99.9% of the experience, 99.9% of the people experience defeat and failure, and that's why I will be able to relate and encourage many more because of this experience. And I've learned to do all things unto the Lord, and nothing is done in vain. Thank you all so much for tonight and being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I am so honored to be a member of this gymnastics family.
Our second Hall of Fame recipient in the category of contributor, rather than read any notes about him, I'd just like to say I had the chance to work with this gentleman for many, many years in various capacities, but it started as an athlete. And I'll never forget the moment after we won when Mike Jacki pulled every member of our team together in a little bit of a huddle. The moment after we did that, when with tears in his eyes, expressed to us how much that meant to him, to USA Gymnastics, and to our community at large, what this can do for our sport. Probably no one with more passion about gymnastics than the former executive director of USA Gymnastics and our next recipient, Mr. Mike Jacki. We'll take a look at the video.
Mike Jacki, honored this evening for his contributions to gymnastics as Mike Jacki. Initially an active volunteer and promoter, Mike became president of the United States Gymnastics Federation in 1983. Mike took the helm at a time when the very existence of USGF was in jeopardy, with one of his first challenges, a $700,000 deficit. His creativity is legendary. Accomplishments considered for the Hall of Fame are generally those which make an impact on a specific sport. Mike's influence is far-reaching, touching all disciplines today, including promoting national club growth, athlete financial funding and training support, and early talent recognition. Many of his ideas are now recognized at the FIG international level, implemented by other programs worldwide. Mike's contributions include helping create the National Gymnastics Foundation, resulting from profits from the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, chaired the FIG Marketing and Eligibility Committees, which rewrote the rules to allow athlete sponsorship and endorsements, open prize money and uniform signage for team sponsors, in addition to funding provided by the national governing bodies, implemented the Safety Certification Program, created the Talent Opportunity Program. Mike has held various positions such as Competition Director for the 1984 Olympic Games, member of the U.S. Olympic Committee Board of Directors from 1984 to 1992, chairman of the USOC Training Center Committee from 1992 to 96, served on the USOC Marketing Committee from 1982 to 1996, member of the Board of Directors of the Atlanta Committee for the Olympic Games from 1991 to 1996, president of the Organizing Committee for the World Gymnastics Committee in 1991, elected to the FIG Executive Committee in 1984, first vice president in 1992, and vice president in 1998. During the voting years of 1984, 88, and 92 Olympiads, Mike was successful in electing all of the USA candidates for positions, including our first technical committee president, Jack Fye, in 1992. Mr. Jacki is an honorary member of FIG, was awarded life membership of the Pacific Alliance after serving on the Executive Committee from 1984 to 1993. He has gone on to support the efforts of collegiate gymnastics. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Jacki.
Presenting the award to Mike is Mr. Jay Ashmore.
Well, thank you. Thank you very. Sorry, I have my wife on here. They're not here, so this is going to be difficult for me. I'm just overwhelmed. First of all, no one stands up here alone. Throughout my career, I've always had a great team behind me. When I was a gymnast at Iowa State, when I worked for AMF for 10 years, all the people that worked in that company. When I was at the USGF, when we started in 1983, I remember my first hire was Cheryl Grace, and then Connie Israel, and then Allison Millington, and then John Hewitt. And you know, in about August of 1983, John Hewitt came to me and said, you know, I got a great way we could save $30,000. Don't go to the World Championships. And then when I told John that we needed to go to qualify for the Olympic Games, he gave us permission, so I thought that was great. The work that I've done over the last few years with the NACGCW, which is the Collegiate Coaches Association, which has been so special to me, and now the work that I do with USAIGC, which is the independent club organization, which is even more important because it's about kids that are falling out of the system and losing their feel and their sense of how they stay involved. So all of these have been very important. And obviously what I do right now with Woodward Camp, which is great, it's all about team. No one is alone in this. This is all about the people that we work with. And that not only is important, but it's the real pleasure and the joy and the euphoria that's created in the way that we all spend time together. I have a few housekeeping things. First of all, I apologize for not being at the 96th Congress. I was awarded a service award, and I apologize for not being there, but someone forgot to invite me. So I also want to thank two very significant volunteers, maybe two of the greatest volunteers in our sports history that have gone unrecognized, Mike Donahue and Bud Wilkinson, who were the presidents during my tenure. And I want to tell you, Peter, Scott, Jim, Bart, Tim, Mitch, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about those guys. Because what they did was just not only significant, but monumental and just so important. And you know, I mean, my relationship with Bart goes back to when he was 10 years old, when he was in the YMCA, and to see what Bart did and what Bart's accomplished, I mean, I just couldn't be prouder just to even have the association with these young men. Peter and all those guys, I'll just absolutely never forget you and what you did in 1984. And my last housekeeping piece is I want to apologize to my family, Terry and Mitch and Lindsay, for being gone so much. It was difficult, but I hope you will forgive me and allow me that time because what I felt and what was needed to be done was important. you know, I left the USGF in December of 1993 and 1993, and it was a very difficult time for me. And I felt that we were on the right track. We had the best women's team in the world. We had a great supportive sponsors. I felt that maybe someone new could come in and do a better job for the men's program, and look where the men's program is today. It's one of the best in the world, and I couldn't be prouder of those young men and their coaches, and I was thrilled with that. I went to skiing, and I just have to relate one story. The first board meeting I went to, I introduced a new team, and it probably was my demise there, and they hated it, and I was very supportive of it, and it was important to me, and I thought it was the right thing to do, and so I introduced the U.S. snowboarding team. I'd like to look at the future, and I'm going to be commentary about this. First of all, the FIG. The FIG ultimately is our leadership. It is the ultimate leadership. We need new leadership. We need someone who can take us to the next level, and I hope that it's going to come from this country, and I hope that the United States is once again going to take the leadership role. I love Bruno Grandi. He's a wonderful man, but we need new leadership, and we need somebody that can have a better vision. Our future is about our coaches. It is about coaches. The reason we're great in basketball, the reason we're great in football is we have great coaches. I'm very concerned about losing the collegiate program because we don't lose gymnasts, we lose coaches. The future of our sport is about what we do with coaches, and I want to challenge all of you and all of us in this sport to think about a developmental coaches academy and institute, somewhere where we can create new coaches for our sport to lead our athletes into the next generation. And of course, the most critical thing that we have is our clubs. You know, the core of our business. And sometimes, you know, when I meet with club people, I say, well, what is your business? Is it teaching gymnastics? Because I don't think that it is, not today. It's about exciting youth. It's about creating passion. It's about giving something important for kids to think about and to be involved with. It's about bringing them to the next level. And sometimes I think we're a little too hung up on competition. We're a little too hung up on formality. Sometimes, you know, I've said the problem with boys gymnastics is boys gymnastics. Everyone wants to flip. Everyone wants to do a twist. Everyone wants to do these things. But maybe we've got to make it a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more social, a little bit more exciting for these young people because of the challenges that we face in today's marketplace with not only sports. It's not just about other sports. It's about everything that's available to young people. Technology and computers and MTV and all those things that we compete against. We got to find a way to involve the young people and get them excited about the most unique experience that they will ever have, which is involvement in gymnastics, and we need to do that. The other part of our sport, gymnastics is hard. Think about it. This is a hard sport. You know, the best baseball player in the world who's worth $250 million is successful 30% of the time. 30%. Michael Jordan graduated, was that the right word? He left basketball as maybe the greatest player of all time 50% of the time. And in gymnastics, a girl goes on the balance beam and she does a magnificent routine and she goes like that and the coach goes nuts, okay? She did 200 elements in that exercise and she faltered slightly on one and she's belittled by the system. Not fair, not fair. Too demanding. Give them the credit. It is unbelievable how complicated and difficult our sport is, and the kids need to be rewarded for that. You know, one of the things I went from, I go to this, I'm in this age group meet, and Todd Gardner, y'all know Todd from IEG in Illinois, and I'm announcing a level 4 meet. And Todd comes up to me and he says, hey Mike, hey, it's great to see you. He said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm announcing the meet. You know, I talked to the federation, they said if I wanted to get back involved, I had to start at the bottom. He goes, that's great. Anyway, for a long time, I was doing the dad thing. You know, my daughter's a level 9 gymnast. She's been involved with the sport for a long time. She's going to be 18. And I said to her, don't quit. This is too much fun. This is too important. Do this. Why does a kid quit at 10? How does a 10-year-old quit? It's because they're not having fun and they don't feel they're learning anything. That's not fair because it's not fair to our sport. Because you can learn something every day. That's our challenge, is to learn something every day. You know, we are a hard sport. And as an individual sport, one of the problems in individual sport, you don't get to share your disappointment with a lot of other people. You bear the burden yourself. It falls on your shoulder, okay? Kristen Maloney told me something. She said after the Olympic Games in 2000, her mom was in a grocery store. I'm sorry, Bart told me this, Kristen's mom told him this. And somebody said, "Oh, are you Kristen Maloney's mom?" And she said, "Yes." She goes, "Oh, we're so sorry about the girls." 4th place, so sorry about the girls. Of course, that's part of the standard that we have set because we're good. But did they fail? I don't think they failed. I think those kids are just awesome. I think those kids are wonderful. And look at Kristen Maloney today, just graduating from UCLA, national champion. Look at Jamie Dancher. Look at Elise Ray. Those kids are wonderful kids who have succeeded at the highest level, and they need to be complimented and rewarded for that. You know, competition's hard, and in individual sport it's even harder because if there's 100 kids in the meet, only 1 kid wins. So you got to come up with a way to reward those kids that don't win. You've got to be able to compliment them and entice them and excite them about the sport. You know, Paul Spadaro and I do this thing with the Independent Club Organization. And we look at ourselves as, here's the pyramid and we're the buckets. We're the buckets that catch those kids that are kind of falling off, that go, "Oh, gee, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. This is pretty hard. I'm not that good." And what we say is, sure you are. And you know what? When you grow up, this is an important sport, and we want your kids involved in this sport because this is important for our future. Okay, I'm going to finish with this last comment. I'm going to share something with you that I haven't shared with a lot of people, and this is important to you. I have found the secret of life. Okay? And before I tell you what it is, I want to give you this example. Picture a beautiful harbor somewhere around Boston, Nantucket, Massachusetts, and there's all these boats, and there's a huge rain. And that night, all the boats rise. All of the boats rise in the water. The secret of life is, it is not about you, but it is about your kids. It is about the ability to challenge yourself to make our children better. This isn't about gymnastics. This is about our future. This is about what we do for children. This is about challenging ourselves to make our children better prepared to deal with what they will face in their lifetime. Because 30 years from now, it's not going to be about back handsprings. It's going to be about the motivation, the planning process, the strategies, all the things that go into our sport, all the work, the ethics, you know, all of the due diligence that they pay to improve themselves, because that's what's going to make them a better person. I mean, look at the people in this room. If I look around this room and I think about the '84 team, we're doing our job. As the older generation leading the younger generation, I'm perfectly comfortable with letting our '84 team be the next group of people that leads into the next generation. I couldn't be more satisfied and more thrilled and happier for what everybody is doing in this sport. And Bob, to you and the Federation, we wish you every possible success, not only in gymnastics, but in the future development of our children and our culture and our society, of everything that's going to happen in our lifetime and in the future. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Congratulations, Mike.
Our next recipient, Sabrina Mar, led a successful competitive career in women's gymnastics from 1976 to 1988. 76, wow. Some of Sabrina's achievements include the all-around title in the 1985 U.S. Championships and 1987 Pan American All-Around Champion. Let's take a look at the video.
Sabrina Mar. Sabrina Mar enjoyed many successful years as a competitive gymnast from 1976 to 1988. She won the all-around title in the 1985 USA Championships, as well as the uneven bar and floor exercise titles, with second place in vault and balance beam. Sabrina was a two-time World Championship team member. She was the 1987 Pan American All-Around Champion, winning silver on floor and uneven bars, bronze on balance beam, and a gold team championship medal. She competed in the 1986 World Cup in Beijing, China, placing 14th in the all-around. A 1988 injury prevented her from completing the 1988 Olympic team trials. After gymnastics, Sabrina graduated from UCLA in 1993 and went on to become an animator for many years in the TV cartoon South Park. Sabrina currently resides in Torrance, California with her husband Dennis and their son Noah. Sabrina Mar.
Got to get your award.
Presenting the award to Sabrina is Linda Chinchinski.
Well, I was one of those ones that didn't know I had to do a speech tonight, so I'm not really prepared. And I'm a little annoyed that I have to follow Mike Jacki's most profound and insightful speech. So I'll just keep this short and sweet. I'd like to thank the selection committee for remembering me after all these years. It's just nice to be remembered, let alone have this wonderful honor of being inducted to the Hall of Fame. Just really glad to be here tonight in such great company. I'd like to thank all my great coaches, especially Don Peters, Mary Wright, some other coaches, Mary Wright and Steve Gerlach, who just had such wonderful patience with me. Just really appreciate it. And lastly, my family, of course, who've been very supportive, and my wonderful husband, Dennis, who married me not even knowing that I was a gymnast in the first place. Thank you so much. So, thank you.
That little guy's already trying to see how to peel the foil off to get the chocolate of that medal, huh? All right. Just so you know, at the end of this tonight's function, Sabrina will be in the back trying to let all you South Park fans know who really killed Kenny. Our next recipient is in the sport, once again, of rhythmic gymnastics. Before I introduce her, I just, when I first got exposed to rhythmic gymnastics, I think as a male gymnast, I was introduced to an entirely different level of flexibility when you watch rhythmic gymnastics. And it kind of causes me to reflect about the audience today, at today's event, for example. Many of us who are gymnastics family members can appreciate the amazing flexibility of the group that followed the event, right? Those four little girls, those contortionists, it was amazing. But there's also a group here that maybe had never really seen gymnastics that much before, and I kind of like to observe the audience. Did you look at the faces of many in the audience during that program? It was kind of like this. Oh my gosh, how do they do that? Anyways, it was interesting to see how quiet it was until they realized that they were not separating parts of their bodies and stacking them in different directions. But that was an amazing performance tonight. Those little girls were great. Now, our next recipient in the sport of rhythmic gymnastics is Diane Simpson. She's a two-time Olympian and participated in 4 world championships. From the years of 1985 to 1991, Simpson represented the USA in more than 30 international competitions. Let's take a look at the video.
Diane Simpson. Diane Simpson represented the United States as one of 2 rhythmic gymnasts in the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea. She competed in 2 Pan American Games, winning 5 medals, 2 of them gold, including the all-around. She earned a qualifying spot for the United States in the 1988 and 1992 Olympic Games during 2 of her 4 World Championships appearances. Diane competed internationally from 1985 to 1991, representing the USA in more than 30 international competitions. Simpson is national-level judge for USA Gymnastics with more than 13 years' experience and is a past announcer for Junior Olympics. As a journalist, she served as an NBC expert for gymnastics, rhythmic gymnastics, and trampoline during the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia, and as a Turner Sports Color commentator at the 1998 Goodwill Games in New York. She also participated in the Baja Men's Best Years of Our Lives music video as both a dancer and a gymnast. Simpson resides on Chicago's North Shore with her husband, H. Hollister Bundy IV, and 5-year-old daughter, Alexis. Ladies and gentlemen, Diane Simpson.
Presenting the award to Diane, Barbara Gallagher-Tonry.
Not sure how Sabrina got this to stay up here. Well, I too prepared a speech to some extent. I'm just so thrilled to be here, and I just wanted to let all of you know how grateful we are as rhythmic gymnasts to be honored in such a way. When my husband Hollister called to tell me that I received a letter in the mail that said I was going to be inducted into the USA Gymnastics National Hall of Fame, I thought he was kidding. I said, "That's not a funny joke, Hollister." Well, here I am standing with the other inductees. Congratulations to all of you. I want to thank Bob Colorazzi and USA Gymnastics, as well as the United States Olympic Committee. Thanks to Carolyn Bowers and the rest of the Hall of Fame selection committee members. My Olympic dream started as a 7-year-old. I watched as Nadia Comaneci scored the first perfect 10 in gymnastics. It was the 1976 Olympic Games. "I'm going to the Olympics someday," I said. "You can do anything you want to do as long as you put your mind to it," Grandpa said. 12 years later, I did just that, but it was in rhythmic gymnastics. You see, Peter, I could never hold a handstand properly enough in my 7 years of artistic gymnastics. But none of this came without sacrifice. It also took a lot of help from others, including the 84 Olympians here today. Mom and Dad, you might recall that you dragged me to the national parks in 1984. And every day I dashed out of the car and ran into the hotel room to watch the Olympic team in Pavilion, all the gymnasts compete. And this was despite all the scenic wonders all over the world that I was looking at the national parks. I want to say a special thanks to those departed. To Maria Bakos for giving me the confidence and telling me that I would be national champion someday. To Grandma Powers for giving me the funds to travel to Bulgaria to train with Efrosina Angelova and Neshka Robova to make that happen. And to my favorite cheerleader, John Brinkworth, for making me a pinup girl early on in my career at Evanston Township High School. Thanks, of course, to my parents, John and Marilyn, for their support during the glory days and throughout my life. Mom, the sound of your charm bracelet in the stands, and Dad, the shaking of the video camera, remind all of us that pressure occurs also in the stands, not just out on the carpet. Thanks to my siblings and their spouses, my nieces, my nephew, my aunts and uncles, and other relatives. To borrow a song title from Bette Midler, you are indeed the wind beneath my wings. In the past 15 years, thanks to my husband Hollister and his family, the Bundys, and their relatives, some of whom are making me beautiful tonight, and to my 5-year-old daughter, Alexis, a budding artistic and rhythmic gymnast, talented in her own right, both athletically and academically. Thanks to my coach of 10 years, Irina Vidovitz, for putting up with me, and also my teammate, Michelle. And to coaches Alla and Rosa, Lana and Galina, Olga ×2, Bruce, Melissa, and Nessa. Thanks to some of the judges, including Andrea and Candace, Helena and Diane, Norma, Maureen, Hannah, Joyce, and Perrin. Perrin, you're an inspiration. Thanks also to my pianist, Robert Stanky, for tinkling the ivories each time I ventured out onto the carpet. Boy, it would have been lonely without you. And thanks to the equipment and leotard ladies, too, as my dad calls them. Finally, thanks to the many doctors who kept me in the game. Doc Hutch and Gloria, Pat and Ed and David, Dr. Rob, Dr. Munson, Dr. Wolf, who yanked out my tonsils. And thanks to the Rush University medical team, John Mead, Gary Strokosh, Dan Goodman, Mark Brand, and Randolph McConney. I accept this award tonight on behalf of the late Christy Henrich and the more than 8 million Americans who suffer from eating disorders. Currently, I wish Mary Kate Olson good luck in her quest and hope that she nips this in the bud now. As a board member of the Female Athlete Triad Coalition, I know that the earlier the treatment, the better. You see, for a long time, I thought I was a gymnast who developed eating disorders. I've learned through my Sun-Times editor and also through treatment that I was an eating disordered girl who became an Olympian and persevered. Life is fleeting. I nearly lost my father to a heart attack a number of years ago, and my sister Janet to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma before that, before my brother Jeff donated his bone marrow and saved her life. I'm happy to say that both my sister and my father are with us tonight, and that Janet will be competing in the transplant games next month and will be joined by her boyfriend. So if you're suffering, please seek help. Tell your parents, tell your coaches, tell your officials, tell your orthopedic surgeons. But get help early on. I often wonder what it would have been like if I hadn't been suffering from illnesses, injuries, and surgeries during my career and as an adult. But make no mistake, I love gymnastics. It is in my heart. It's a part of me. It's part of my very soul every day of my life. Gymnastics gave me the chance to train and to perform. It taught me discipline, dedication, stamina. It gave me the chance to travel the world, meet new people, bridge gaps among cultures, and learn new languages. Perhaps most importantly, gymnastics taught me to fight for what I believe in. Even when I'd lost and the chips were down, such as when I failed to make the 1992 Olympic team bound for Barcelona, gymnastics taught me that I could pick up the pieces and survive. I turn now to today's Olympians. Please remember the words of Baron Pierre de Coubertin, who said, "The most important thing in the Olympic Games is not to win, but to take part. Just as the most important thing in life is not the triumph, but the struggle. The essential thing is not to have conquered, but to have fought well." With these words, we are all champions. Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts sent my daughter a letter a few months ago. He said he hoped to make this a better world for her to grow up. I, too, hope for the world to be a better place and for competition to occur through sports and not war. So, Alexis, I dedicate this to you. Someday you will understand that your mommy dreamed. Your mommy dreamed of wearing the letters USA on the back of my sweatsuit. I dreamed of marching into an Olympic stadium for my nation, the best country in the world. I dreamed of having the flag raised and the national anthem played in my honor as but one representative of the United States of America. But Alexis, you must also know that I am proud of you just for being you. Just the smile you bring to me each day and the warm arms that you wrap around me are enough to make me realize that I need to thank God that I am alive. And I am so blessed. Thank you, USA Gymnastics. From the bottom of my heart, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, our evening's just about done. I have one housekeeping item that's very important. I'd like all of the Hall of Fame inductees to please go to the back of the ballroom towards the bar to celebrate. No. We'd like you to go to the back for some formal photographs. The lighting is a little bit better back there, and please, if you can go back upon the conclusion of the evening, which is coming momentarily. I want to thank you very much for the privilege of serving once again as your Master of Ceremonies at this event. We appreciate all of you joining us for tonight's festivities. We hope you enjoy the weekend. We hope you continue with your enthusiasm for the efforts of these tremendous athletes that are competing and performing this weekend. We've got one more day. It's going to be just very, very exciting, and we look forward to some great things coming up in just a couple months in Athens. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, and please be safe. Thank you.